Welcome back to Breakdown. It's Thursday, August 31st. Start of football season, JJ. Are you ready for some football?
I've been ready. I was born ready. Are you ready, Dad?
I was born ready. So
Let's
we
get
both
to it.
was born. Let's do it.
Let's get to it.
SEC Big Ten. JJ.
SEC Big Ten. Let's do it.
SEC Big Ten. I love it. I love me some college football. Big Ten. Let's do Big Ten.
Let's do Big Ten. Let's start there.
Just some general information. What's the word on U of M? Coach, and they're a Coach Harbaugh. Anything new?
They announced who would be coaching in his absence. I don't remember who it was, honestly. Do you remember who?
Well, would it matter if they put a cardboard picture up there with him out there on the sideline to coach?
No, I think that the first three games, actually going into the fourth game, even though I know that's a conference game against Rutgers, I think that they would probably be able to handle that.
We're talking Eastern Carolina, UNLV, and Bowling Green.
Yeah.
All those Michigan fans,
Not exactly powerhouses.
all those Michigan fans getting nervous because their coach won't be on the sideline doing those games?
I don't think those are the games they're worried about.
Okay. Coach Harbaugh had an interesting perspective.
There was also the comments that he had this week.
What's your take on it? And tell me what those comments are, and then give me your take.
Well, he just publicly advocated for players getting more of a revenue share of the money. So he's one of the first coaches to publicly advocate for that, which I think coincidentally is something that recruits might be proponents of. So I'm wondering if that's just a coincidence or if he might have had some ulterior motives when he made those public statements known. But what are your thoughts?
No, I asked you to give me your take on it first. I'll give you I'll give you my thoughts. My thought is, the more money, the more better. Let the players get the money. I mean, I have no problem with it. But give me your thoughts on it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any issue with the players getting the money, but yeah, I mean, I think.
Go ahead.
Did Deion Sanders? Do you know if he advocated for players getting more money or not?
He always did.
Yeah,
he always did.
As a former player, Jim Harbaugh is also a former player, so maybe it's easier for them to relate to these guys' shoes.
When Harbaugh made the comment, he didn't give the details on how that would work. My only thought, and I know you disagree with me, is that there may be some Title IX consequences involved in that. You disagree, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure if there would be, but
okay.
We'll see.
I'm not sure either. I'm just thinking there may be. But JJ, season start tonight. Big Ten, Nebraska at Minnesota.
Game everybody's been waiting for.
Minnesota's a 6-point favorite in that game.
Yeah.
All the people in the state of Nebraska and the state of Minnesota have been waiting for this game.
Yeah. And that's about the limits of the people that are eagerly anticipating that game and not a different game that we'll get to later.
Okay.
But yeah, Minnesota's what, 7-point favorite?
6 point. Well, depending on what booking service you look at. The one I looked at had them a 6-point favorite.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's about right. They have a little bit of a head start. Matt Rule is known for turning programs around, but he's always, struggled out the gate in year one. I don't know why this would be any different. This is the first game of his tenure. They fired the coach for a reason. They had the Georgia Tech transfer at quarterback. I think he has a little bit of untapped potential. He has a little bit of talent that he hasn't shown. So I mean, I think there's always a possibility of an upset. You need a dynamic quarterback, I think.
Yeah, at Minnesota, I think PJ Fleck is going to be rolling the boat first game. I'd be surprised if Nebraska pulled off the upset. But JJ, let me ask you this question: the Big Ten has a few first game this year or conference game. Is that good or bad in your mind? If you were the coach, would you want to start your season off with a conference foe?
Yeah, I mean, especially depending on which team you are. I mean, if you're Indiana's head coach, you might not want to start off against Ohio State. But if you're Ohio State, I would have no issue starting off against
Nebraska and Minnesota. You okay with starting off right then and there with each other? Now, they haven't hit anybody other than themselves. A lot of players, quarterbacks haven't taken hits. In the first game of the season, usually tackling is not the greatest because players are not always allowed to tackle full steam during the practice. Would you like to start your season off with a conference game? Or you don't care? That's basically what it sounds like.
If I think I could win the game and I'm a slight underdog, then absolutely. Okay. I think I could catch them.
Okay.
In the Appalachian State, Michigan situation. But if I'm like a humongous underdog or something like that, like and a team has to work in a new quarterback, I think that's an opportunity for a blowout, and that's not the way you want to start your season.
Well, let's talk about another Big Ten conference matchup in Week 1. Northwestern, 6 points underdog to Rutgers. Your take on that game? Another conference game to start the season, Week 1.
Yeah, Northwestern did not win one game last year in the continental United States. The only game that they won was against Nebraska and Ireland to start the season.
First game of the season again. It worked for Nebraska last year.
Yeah, Northwestern.
For Northwestern.
Northwestern's been picked through. A lot of the guys that hit the transfer portal after their coach got fired.
Yeah.
Really, really late. So I would expect Rutgers to not be super. I don't expect them to be world beaters or anything like that. But I think that there's a reason they're such big favorites against Northwestern. I think it's going to be a very long season.
Okay, let's talk about another Week 1 conference matchup in the Big Ten. Ohio State in Bloomington at Indiana. Ohio State named their quarterback.
They did name their starting quarterback, but they also said that both quarterbacks would play. Okay. Kyle McCord will succeed C.J. Stroud as it pertains to getting the start.
Okay.
But Devin Brown will also get reps. Hopefully he'll get reps in the game in the first quarter and not after the game has been decided after halftime or something like that when he's going up against the Indiana's 2s or 3s. Hopefully he gets like in-game series so we can see who's better. But that's what I'm interested in. I'm not really interested in seeing how Indiana does. I expect Ohio State, wide receiver U, they have 2 preseason All-Americans, and Becca and Book.
Harris.
Yeah, Mbuka and Harris.
Yeah.
And Marvin Harrison Jr., yeah.
Harrison, my bad.
No.
Yeah, me too, man. I'm looking to see if those receivers will take off, continue what they did, and just keep it going. Ohio State, I want to compare Ohio State to Michigan. I know they don't play until the last game, but right now, what would you say is the weakness of both those teams?
I mean, you could say quarterback for both teams.
I'm going to say Michigan has no weakness.
And wide receiver potentially for Michigan as well.
And they're not super elite, but I get your point. But yeah. But man, their defense at all 3 levels pretty good.
Yeah.
Their running game, offensive line, pretty good. Quarterback,
pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, but Ohio State, do they have any weakness?
They have an unproven quarterback. They have a lot of talent in the secondary, but a lot of that is unproven. Or at least, they gave up a lot against Michigan. And so, I mean, I think that those are the areas of concern if you're Ohio State. But, I mean, they have, great defensive end prospects, great offensive line prospects. They need one safety or one cornerback and one tackle, but other than that,
right now, State. Yeah, they're number 3 in the country right now. Michigan number 2. JJ, another Big Ten team. Talk about my favorite Big Ten team that's playing Friday. Michigan State home against CMU.
Fire up Chips.
Go green. They're a 14-point favorite.
Central Michigan has overcome similar odds before against Michigan State at home.
Mel Tucker worked for Nick Saban, 3 years?
I believe so.
Okay, he worked, 1 year, 2 years at Michigan, 1 year at LSU for Nick Saban. Mel Tucker, the coach of Michigan State. Neither of those coaches have announced their starting quarterback. Neither Michigan State nor Alabama. Yeah. What's going on?
I don't know. I kind of thought it was a foregone conclusion in East Lansing who the successor to Peyton Thorne was going to be. I thought it was going to be Noah Kim. Same. I still expect it to be Noah Kim. I know you do as well.
I do.
But you can't rule out Caden Hauser. I haven't been, in the practices. Neither have you. We haven't seen.
That's true.
We haven't seen him. Maybe he's been out playing him, and it should be a meritocracy. And whoever is playing better should get the nod.
The more I've been reading about Michigan State, the more I like their defensive front.
They got the transfer from Texas A&M.
Texas A&M. They got the guy transferred from Colorado, played for Mel Tucker his freshman year. He started 4 years at Colorado,
Yeah.
and now he's at MSU playing there. I would give the 14 points in this game. I'm looking forward to the Green taking the field on Friday. Go Green. That's all I can say. So one thing really quickly. I mean, we talked about the. Are you shaking your head?
Don't take the 14 points. Anyway, what?
Okay, we talked about the Big Ten. Before I go to the SEC, I want to make quick mention of Iowa. We were talking about Michigan, and there's an ex-Michigan guy named Cade McNamara playing at Iowa right now.
Broke the streak against Ohio State.
Yes, he did. So the word is that he's questionable for the game against Utah State.
Yeah,
for Iowa.
He had some ankle issues in practice, and nobody knows if he's going to get the start. So
we'll see. I just want to mention that before I go to the SEC, but I want to go down south. The Dirty South, JJ. Let's talk about the Dirty South, the SEC. Tonight, Florida is at Utah.
Tonight, Florida is at Utah.
Florida, what is it? Is a 5-point underdog. What's your take on that game? Last year they played in Orlando. Florida pulled off the upset. Utah's the back-to-back big Pac-12 champions going up against an SEC school. Tell me your take.
Yeah, last year they played in Gainesville, and Florida
Gainesville.
did
Was it Gainesville?
I believe it was the Swamp.
Okay, I was thinking it was a neutral site, but go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Anthony Richardson did come away with the win.
He did.
This year they don't have Anthony Richardson, but Utah doesn't have Cam Rising either. Well, more than likely, the reports have just been made public that it's doubtful that he's going to be ready for
their starting quarterback will not be starting for the game tonight. That's the reports.
And they'll be on their third string quarterback. However, it's still in Utah. So that's why the opening line, it opened up at like 10 or something like that when they thought they had Cam Rising. Then it went all the way down to 3.5, and now it's back to 5. All of these are with Utah being favored. I'm still going to take Utah
to win the game
and to cover the 5 points.
You know what?
In Salt Lake City.
To me, it's a toss-up. You lose a quarterback first game of the season. Well, that's tough to predict what will happen there. But I think it should be a fun game. Utah's number 14 in the country right now. Florida's unranked. Should be a good game.
Yeah.
Should be a good game. I know Florida had to stop in Dallas. They got to Florida early because of the hurricane.
Yeah.
Stayed overnight in Dallas before they headed out to Utah.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Another game I want to talk about, JJ. South Carolina hosting North Carolina.
The Battle of the Carolina.
North Carolina's number 21 in the country.
Mm-hmm.
Which Carolina you got?
Well, North Carolina has the preseason Heisman Trophy
candidate. Okay. Quarterback.
Candidate, yeah. And Drake May. South Carolina, has Spencer Rattler, though. A very highly talented recruit coming out of high school with a lot of talent, a lot of potential.
Ended the season quite well, did South Carolina.
Yeah, they beat Clemson. They beat
LSU. Not either of those teams had defeated South Carolina, they would have been in the playoff, college playoff, most likely.
Well, had LSU gone on to beat Georgia.
I'm not so sure about that. But that's neither. I think they may have gotten the ride over TCU, but no, I spoke a little premature. Clemson, no doubt, had Clemson defeated them, Clemson would have been in the playoffs.
Yeah, but they lost. They finally took an L to their
in-state rival.
To the in-state rival.
Okay.
How many points? What's the spread? North Carolina's favored.
Yeah, North Carolina's favored. I cannot remember the spread, but you know what? I will get that spread eventually. That game is Saturday.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's disrespectful a little bit to have a team that went 8-4 in the SEC to be an underdog at home against a team that went, I think, 8-4. Did North Carolina even go 8-4 in the ACC? Did they go 7-5? I think
I
that's a
don't
little
know.
bit
It's a
disrespectful.
2.5 point spread that North Carolina's favored.
And I'm gonna take South Carolina to cover. I might take them to win straight up, but
Okay.
absolutely to cover.
Okay.
What say you?
Uh, I'm gonna stay away from first game predictions because I just don't know, man.
Yeah, that's true.
The other, the Tennessee Volunteers are hosting Virginia.
Yeah.
Tennessee is a 28 point favorite in that game. The only reason I even mention it because it's a Power 5 team that they're playing.
Yeah.
So many teams are playing non Power 5 teams that I just bring that up.
Yeah, border states. Real sad story about what happened to Virginia's program last year with all those players being murdered for no apparent reason.
Yeah.
Tennessee's expected to cover by 4 touchdowns. Something that I would love to see. They're supposed to have a very high-powered offense. I want to tune into this to see how Joe Milton looks.
Yes,
Basically.
Joe Milton. He's been around like forever at Michigan,
Yeah.
Tennessee. They say he can throw the ball 90 yards.
Yeah, he has a absolute cannon, but
got to be accurate.
you gotta be
You
accurate
gotta have
as well.
finesse.
There's a little,
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Tennessee offense. This supposedly is high-powered offense again, even though they lost their quarterback early in the draft. I forgot to mention, you mentioned Florida losing their quarterback. Richardson, he was taken in the top 5 last year, right? In the
yeah,
draft.
he's gonna be the day 1 starter for the Indianapolis Colts.
And Tennessee losing their quarterback. JJ,
Speaking of Florida, do you want to transition to that game?
we already talked about Florida and Utah.
Oh well, some of the things you're right. We did talk about that. I did want to mention that Florida's quarterback is the transfer from Wisconsin, Graham Mertz.
That's true.
I wanted to mention that.
And he's supposed to be very, very. He started 3 years at Wisconsin.
Yeah, and he had an incredible first game, and he never really lived up to that since. So we'll see if he can recapture that glory. But he was a very highly touted recruit coming out of high school, and he's supposed to have a lot of talent. So
He started many games at Wisconsin. So we like to say, we will see. JJ, I'm not going to talk about the Alabama game. Alabama's playing Middle Tennessee, but last year Middle Tennessee opened the season with a win over a top 25 team. Can they do it again this year and defeat Alabama?
yeah, they're not playing Miami this time. I think Alabama, no matter if it's Jalen Milroe or any of the other 2 guys he's in competition with, I expect them to roll over Middle Tennessee pretty handily. I don't think Nick Saban is going to tolerate that.
I'm just saying, Miami kind of thought that same thing probably last year, but that's just me. I'm just talking. JJ, we have talked about the teams in the conference, but really quick before I go to my Cadillac game, Georgia's running back, freshman running back, Branson Robinson, out for the season. Does that matter at all?
He's out for the season. I know he's out for the.
I heard for the season.
Okay, I knew he was out for the first 4 or 5 games. Yeah, I mean that's he was supposed to be in the
A true freshman.
Yeah, he was a very highly touted type player. He's supposed to be. I thought he was a redshirt freshman because he got injured last year.
My bad.
Well, he was supposed to be at the top of the rotation, so that's gonna that hurts their depth. But I think Georgia has the players to.
Okay. So we've talked about a few games. To me, those games we talked about mostly were Ford versus Chevrolet. Now I want to talk about Mercedes versus BMW. We doing the car thing today, JJ.
Okay.
What's the most dangerous thing you've ever done in a car? That's okay. Never mind. Don't tell me. I don't want to hear it. Let's just get to the game.
Okay.
LSU versus Florida State. Number 5 versus number 8.
Okay.
LSU is a 2.5 point favorite. JJ, last year, LSU was down 7, got the ball, went 99 yards, scored when the clock ran out to come within 1 point of Florida State.
Yeah.
Missed the extra point. That would have sent it into overtime. Well, this year, Sunday, they play in Sunday. Will the game be just as good?
I expect it to be just as good. Both of these teams are title contenders, and I expect to see a barn burner.
Jaden Daniels, man, he's something else. His numbers last year were off the chart in my mind. I'm torn between him and KJ Jefferson as the best quarterbacks in the SEC, but that neither here nor there. But what you think about 2.5 points first game of the season? And this game is in Florida.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a pretty good spread. Florida State won last year.
By 1.
Yeah, Jaden Daniels played particularly well.
Yeah. Florida State got the Jordan Travis quarterback. They got a receiving core that's supposed to be one of the best in the country. One of those guys, Coleman, you should know about him.
Yeah.
MSU transfer.
Yeah, he left right after spring camp.
Yeah.
Perfect timing for MSU.
I've even seen some things that said Florida State had the best talent in college football. Over Georgia, over Alabama.
Yeah, I've seen things that said Texas does. So I mean, we'll see. We'll see.
So what you looking for in that game?
A good game.
Good game. And you think LSU will come out victorious?
I do not.
So you would take Florida State in those 2.5 points?
I'm taking Florida State to win.
Okay. Wow. You didn't even say cover. You said to win.
They won last year. They have a more consistent quarterback.
Okay. Like I said, I like to stay away from first game picks, but we'll see. JJ, I'm out of here, man. You got something?
That's it. I'm ready for week 1.
Let's get out.
All right.
Go Pigs.